Next, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes, well, my name is Jill. I am a secondary school teacher. I teach English, and this is my second year of teaching since I graduated.
Okay, so nice to meet you, Miss. Should I call you Miss?
Just Jill, that's fine.
Okay. Uh, Wait a minute, maybe uh, there is something wrong with my laptop.
Don't worry.
Okay. Wait. I don't know. Okay. So maybe we can start.
Mhm.
Uh, at least we have 10 questions that we want to ask, and from
Yes.
the question 1 until 5 will be asked by Karina.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. For the first, good afternoon and nice to meet you, Miss. I wanna ask you 5 questions.
Mhm.
Number one is what inspired you to pursue to career in teaching and what led you to become an educator?
Well, after secondary school, I enrolled into a teaching program. And I discovered I really liked teaching, except then I was a PE teacher at a elementary school. But I wanted a bachelor's degree, so I had to go to a next study. And instead of moving on with physical education, I chose to teach English instead. And that's why I ended up being an English teacher.
I got it. For the next question is, in your experience, what are some of the most significant challenge you've faced as a teacher and how have you navigate or overcome them?
Well, the first thing that I came across is that when you are teaching, it is nothing like in the books, what they prepare you for in class. And the most challenging part is definitely the pedagogical aspect of teaching. Since a lot has changed in society over the past years, I find myself finding it difficult to be prepared for all situations because you cannot be prepared. Of course, you study to prepare yourself for a lot of situations, but you cannot prepare for everything. So I'm still learning how to deal with that. And also a challenging part was time management because you have 45 to 60 minutes per class, and I found myself planning way too much for the time I had. So I really reduced the amount of exercise I have planned and the workload I give my children.
Okay, thank you for the answer. The third question is, as an educator, what aspect of teaching do you find most fulfilling and what keeps you motivated in classroom?
What really keeps me motivated is when children say, "Oh, now I get it," or "Oh, I understand," or "I remember this from the previous year." And some of them are really grateful that they are being taught English because they really like it. And whenever I have a group with a good atmosphere and good class, the lessons are fun as well. So I really like that because you can build rapport with children. So you have a really fun connection, and that's what me likes what I like teaching about teaching.
Okay, for the fourth question is, could you share a specific moment or experience in your teaching career that has had a lasting impact on you?
Yes, I started teaching at the school I work at now 2 years ago. And there was a year once student that I taught English, and he was a low level learner. So he's found it very difficult. And last year, I think it was in the last period or in the last weeks of school, he had his final test for English, and I sat with him. I helped him studying. I helped him do his homework, and that was the first time he actually passed his English test. And he was so happy with it, and he still thanks me for it, even though I don't teach him anymore. So we built a really good connection together, and he is one of the kindest pupils I've met.
Okay, for the last question from me is, considering the evolving landscape of education, how do you stay adaptable and address the changing need of your students?
Well, in modern education, I think technology is really a big part in the classroom. So at the school I work at, all pupils get laptops, and I use them in class by doing tests online, giving them homework they can do online, and use their laptops for interactive learning and games. And the easy part is, because it is online and they can do their homework online, the answers are checked immediately, so you don't have to do it in class anymore.
Okay, I got it. And maybe for the next question from my friend Kevin. Thank you, Miss, for the answer.
Thank you.
Well, maybe for the next question, what strategies or method that you employ to create an engaging and inclusive learning environment for your students?
Yes, there's some things I already do, and some things I still want to do, but I didn't have the time for that yet. The things I do is I use presentations for visual support for children who are not very good at just listening and auditive instructions. And the presentation also provides structure. I don't use boring presentations such as white background, black text. I try to make them as fun as possible, but also not too much distracting things. And I try to use different tools such as, maybe you've heard of it, Lesson Up or Blooket, and worksheets to ensure interactive learning is used. And of course, differentiate between the learning levels and in the scope of work, because I have very different learning levels in one classroom. And I would want to do more themed lessons. So in combination with history or current events. And we are currently sticking to a learning method. It's called Stepping Stones, and we want to actually get rid of it and not use it that much anymore.
So you make unique tools for your students so they get excited?
Sometimes, like for example, this year, the school year started in September, which was around 9/11. And I made a team lesson about it, and they were very interested in that subject, and many children already know a lot about it. So they really like learning about it and sharing their knowledge about it. So that's something I want to do more, because now I don't have as much time for it to create a team lesson every month, but I would really love to do this more often.
Okay. That's interesting, I guess. So for the next question, as a teacher, do you think which is the most essential or important for teacher? Is it the qualities or the skills for contributing effective teaching?
Yes, especially for lower levels. I teach lower level students. I think the most important thing is building rapport. So you really have to have a connection with the children before you can teach them anything. They really build on that, because if you don't have a connection, they won't learn anything from you. And we do this by stimulating positive behavior, complimenting them. Hey, you're doing great. Don't focus on the negative aspect as much, because you cannot always ignore it, but try to ignore it for as much as possible. Creative content such as the 9/11 team lesson. And I think simple language makes it easier for them to learn, because the grammar can be very difficult for low-level learners. So don't use terms as the present continuous and the present perfect, but just explain what it is and how to use it. And what really important is, for me, focusing on communicative skills. I think it is way more important that they can converse their message instead of having it grammatically correct 100%.
When I hear your explanation, I think it will be hard for me because I'm introverted person. It will be hard to do it like as you say.
Yes.
And for the next question, how do you balance maintaining discipline in your classroom while fostering a positive and supportive learning atmosphere?
Yes, like I said earlier, we really focus on the positive aspect of teaching, or like the behavior. It's called school-wide positive behavior support. And I also want to create an environment where making mistakes is allowed and is not seen as something bad, because you learn from your mistakes, of course. And in the classroom, I think it's really important to just show respect, have respect for each other. So whenever someone makes a mistake, you shouldn't laugh about it, because it could be you and the person is now learning from it. So that's it.
So for the next question, for someone who study in education major, what advice that you will give for them?
I think a very important thing is being able to say no, because of course, when you just graduate, you're very motivated. You want to do a lot of things. You're enthusiastic about your subject. But I think especially in those first year, you shouldn't be taking on too much tasks, because the most important part about teaching is, of course, teaching, so your lessons. And I think we, as teachers, we all want to create good lessons where students have fun, where they learn. And I think that that should be your focus for your first years. And when you are comfortable with teaching, you've learned how to do it and what, time management wise, and in classroom interaction with students. When you found your way, I think then you can slowly expand with more tasks and more lessons perhaps. But I think it's important to just keep it on a low at first and expand as you are growing.
Okay. So maybe I'm curious about your advice. Do you have specific tips or suggestion to someone who want to be a teacher, but they are introvert?
Sorry, what was the last part of your question?
I mean, like, do you have any specific suggestion to someone who study in education major, but they are introverted person?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I haven't thought of that. Well, I used to be very shy at first, but then I started teaching, and then I discovered that I shouldn't have to be, because my teachers then told me, you're actually good at it. You are adapting, and I think you could be a very good teacher. And I think if you're an introvert, you can be a good teacher as well. And I think it is about accepting that you have the abilities to teach, and something that can help probably is when you're teaching, you're also sort of acting. So maybe in class, you can be someone who pretends to be extroverted or pretends to not having trouble with having conversations or teaching kids, and outside of class, you're introverted, and then that should be okay. As long as your content is good and the skills you need for teaching are there, I think it shouldn't be a problem whether you're
Okay. Thank you so much for your advice. I think
introverted or extroverted.
it's very useful. And
You're welcome. Thank you.
next, for the last question, looking back on your journey as an educator, is there a specific piece of advice or encouragement you wish you had received when you were starting your teaching career?
I wrote something down, and that is some advice I actually got. And that is something that really stuck with me. And I try to use it every day, but it's very difficult to me. And that has to do with discipline in class. And my mentor always told me, say what you do and do what you say. So in order to be disciplined, you have to make yourself predictable. Your pupils have to be held accountable for their behavior. And if you tell them exactly what you expect from them, what behavior, you can hold them accountable. And especially the lower level students, they found that difficult because they need the structure. And if you lack structure or discipline, they'll get confused and they show behavior they are not always in control of. So if you show clear expectations, I think they have a sort of, you can see it as a box within they have to behave. And if they go outside of that box, you can tell them, hey, I just told you to stay in that box by showing this behavior, now you're showing this. And what I notice is that they'll be easier to maintain.
Okay. I think those are the questions that we got. I think about your explanation, your information, it is useful for us because as we know, we still study English education major. So your advice, your suggestion, and your information can be used or can be done by us.
Okay, great.
I think that's it. Karina, do you have maybe do you want to say something?
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Miss, and thank you so much for all the helpful answer. Once again, it's nice to meet you, and thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you too. And I wish you good luck with your major. And I hope everything I told you can be used for the better.
Okay.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss. It's nice to see you, to know you.
Well, if you ever need something again, you can just text me. You have my number. So if I can be of help, just let me know.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss.
Thanks,
Okay,
Miss.
bye-bye.
Bye. Good afternoon.
Bye-bye. Abang ini minta dokumentasi, ga?
Udah ada di SS.
Oh ya, oke.